Greg, it's not very often that the center of the hockey world is in Winnipeg, but this summer it is. The one big question for the Jets is how drastic do the changes need to be for Winnipeg this summer?
Well, we know that Connor Hellebuyck and Pierre-Luc Dubois have expressed their intentions. They're not going to be part of the Winnipeg Jets going forward on a long-term contract. My big question in my own head is, how many phones is Kevin Cheveldayoff going to have to be able to take all the calls? Because when you're talking about Connor Hellebuyck and Pierre-Luc Dubois, to me, two significant players, two impactful players, there is going to be a tremendous amount of interest in those two players. And that gives Kevin Cheveldayoff so much opportunity to explore. Where do we go? He can get good prospects. I think he can get good players that can come into his team when you're talking about those two, Hellebuyck and Dubois. And then you extend it into Scheifele, 1 year left on his contract, great value. If he wants to trade him, there's going to be all kinds of teams interested in him. But Kevin Cheveldayoff, this isn't about going to a full rebuild. He can look at this in so many different ways, and that's the opportunity. It's an opportunity when you have top players like he has that have stated their intentions, and you know teams are going to be interested.
Yeah, usually when teams say, oh, we're reloading, it's not a rebuild, I'm kind of rolling my eyes. But for the Jets, that is exactly what could happen this summer. I don't begrudge Hellebuyck or Dubois taking control of their futures. They've actually done Winnipeg a favor, made their intentions known a year early so that Winnipeg can go and try to extract maximum value for players that have already said, you can play us for one more year, then we're walking. So trade us now for something or watch us leave for nothing. The obvious answer is you have to trade them. No question about it, ideally this summer. And I do think young prospects that Winnipeg can maintain control of. I think there's this idea if you can get guys in their early 20s that are 4 or 5 more years before they hit UFA status, those are the kind of players, and they should be plentifully available for both Hellebuyck and Dubois because these guys are two top flight talents. Hellebuyck's one of the best goaltenders in the world, and there are several teams around the league that could really use a goaltender like him, and then Pierre-Luc Dubois, an enticing talent as well. My thing is, there's the contractual situation, but there's also the reality that both Paul Maurice and Rick Bowness have expressed frustration with the group as a whole and their ability to rise to the occasion and to come together and play as hard as they need to play to be successful. So I think this is almost a gift for Kevin Cheveldayoff that he is being forced to trade these guys because it's easy to sell. He has to, so they can make sweeping changes across their team.
Yeah, 100% on Kevin Cheveldayoff being afforded that opportunity. And it doesn't have to be one of his own choosing, because last year he put his faith and belief in the players and in the group. And at the end of the year, we saw what Rick Bowness said. We know what some of the players have said. So the opportunity to change is really significant. One of the things that I just love what you just said, you know, you're looking at players you can control for 4 or 5 years. I think you got to start looking at a smaller time frame for trying to put your team in that place of opportunity to contend and to compete, move yourself forward. And this is what Connor Hellebuyck and Pierre-Luc Dubois, even Scheifele with 1 year left before UFA, can afford the Winnipeg Jets. So it doesn't have to be a teardown. It doesn't have to be a burn it to the ground scenario. Kevin and the teams that could be using these players, you look around, the LA Kings, the Ottawa Senators to name two, they have lots of good young prospects, lots of good young players that could certainly meet exactly what you talk about for the Winnipeg Jets.
Throw Buffalo Sabres in the mix as well as maybe a team that could use a goaltender for right now. So while it is perhaps a daunting summer for the Winnipeg Jets, it doesn't have to be scary because while the Jets will look very different next year, that doesn't mean they won't be good again.